If the cure for cancer was found, would the researchers be at a risk? I think people that claim that generally forget that the one company that develops the literal cure for cancer, which isn't really a thing but let's say it is, will smoke the competition and become ultra-rich. Without even mentioning the fact that the longer people live the more medicine you can sell them. Don't underestimate how much medicine old people take to stretch out those final years. There can never be a single cure for cancer, because cancer is not a single disease. It's a broad category of diseases that have different causes and different treatments. You can't have a single cure for cancer, just as you can't have a single handheld tool that fixes anything that might go wrong on a car, or a single instrument that makes all the music of a symphony orchestra. Conspiracy theories about the cure for cancer being withheld or suppressed have been extremely common for a long time. But they don't make any sense. Some types of cancer have gone from being essentially death sentences to being easily treatable over the past few decades. Others have remained deadly and nearly impossible to treat. There's never going to be a magic bullet for all of them. The medical company that develops a cure for cancer would be the richest company in the history of the planet. Apple, Amazon, energy companies. Their net worths would be like pocket change compared to that. Let's actually break down why that wouldn't be possible. The main issue is size. Cancer research is a huge category, ranging from the development to the treatment to prevention. Not to mention that there are many different types of cancers. I can't find how many people are actually involved, but it's fair to say that it's at least as many as NASA had during the moon landing. Around 411,000. More on this here. The estimate says that the moon landing hoax would have broken down in just 3.7 years. Keep in mind, our pool is probably larger. Cancer research for the modern era goes back until around the 1970s. So even if we did find a cure for cancer, it would need to be extremely recent and wouldn't be held a secret for thousands of years. Next, everything is connected. Much of the scientific and academic fields revolving around cancer have been hugely benefited by the internet and the modern digital era. Information can be sent to millions of people in less than a second. And something as huge as finding a cure to any type of cancer or any other large-scale disease would be immediately sent to as many people as possible. Lastly, it's a stupid idea that pharma companies would cover it up. It would literally be the biggest profit-shitting duck they could ever produce. Millions of people have cancer and companies would want to grab the industrial shopvac and suck the teats of every patient imaginable. If they really wanted to play the cartoonishly evil companies that most of them are, they'd make the cure for cancer an infinite treatment. Because everything else is a subscription service. Why not add cancer cure to that list? Realistically, if a cure or extremely effective treatment for cancer is ever found, the world will immediately know. I have heard a theory that explains the appeal of conspiracies to certain people. It goes something like, in a world where everything seems to be falling apart, where various authority groups are not fully trusted, some people will insist that a secret organization, cabal or super genius is working behind the scenes, manipulating the world. Why? Because the idea that nobody is really in control of the seemingly random chaos of the world is simply too terrifying. Their minds will not accept it as a possibility. Better to believe that an unknown agency is in control, scheming for nefarious ends, than believe that random bad things can happen to good people for no reason, and that nothing can be done about it. I guess in this case, the idea that drug companies would kill to prevent a cure being released is preferable to the thought of someone dying of a disease that may never be cured. That can't be cured. Because if there isn't a bad guy to fight, how can the good guys win? There is no one cure. That's not how cancer works. But let's say there is. You can't keep a major breakthrough like that hidden. I'm guessing your friend is one of those conspiracy nutjobs? No offense. A cure for types of throat and cervical cancer exists through a vaccine for HPV. Ask him why that's available. Then when he tries to argue, ask him if they're heavy and how he does it. And if he uses a forklift or a dolly. And he says, "What?" You say, "To move the goalposts like that so easily." Probably not. I mean, there's always a chance, but it's more likely medical companies would try to buy the cure. And if they can't buy it, they'd launch a smear campaign against the researcher or have some law change to give the researcher a hard time of selling it. I really don't think so. For one, the researchers who do this type of work meticulously record and submit their information to the company or their institution. It isn't as if they just have the knowledge in their head and if they die it's lost forever. More to the point, this wouldn't be a good move for the company. Same reason the conspiracy theory that companies have the treatment but don't release it seems so ridiculous to me. It would be so insanely profitable and prestigious to have a proprietary treatment for such an infamous disease that it just doesn't make sense. They would protect the researchers and the information to the utmost. https://www.cnbc.com/2018/04/11/goldman-asks-is-curing-patients-a-model.html. Maybe related to your question. They wouldn't kill the researchers. Too many risks. And doesn't really help them at all. In reality, if a cure-all came to be, which is highly unlikely, they would buy the rights and patents and then force patients to pay through the nose for treatment. The HPV vaccine is a sort of cervical cancer vaccine, and the creators are still okay. I do know of a less extreme real-life example. As others have said, the nuances of cancer wouldn't make a universal cure possible. But Denise Faustman has made tremendous advances in finding a cure for type 1 diabetes. The genetic kind that doesn't go away with diet and exercise. On more than one occasion, companies that produce insulin have offered her millions of dollars to simply stop her research, which she has refused every time. I don't know that a company would ever whack someone, but they would certainly try to bribe them. A company that discovered a cure for cancer would be worth trillions. Everyone would want the product. And there is an endless supply of patients. Killing the researchers would make no economic sense. Breakthroughs on cancer treatments have happened a lot over the last 100 years. And they're actively working on cures for many types now. Cancers that used to be fatal can often now be completely cured. The idea that treating a patient is more lucrative than curing one is silly for a lot of reasons. One being that doctors don't get paid per patient or per prescription. They get paid the same whether they treat 1 or 100 patients per day. Pharma companies pour millions of dollars into looking for cures for various cancers. Why would they shoot themselves in the foot like that? And what good would it do? The only way for a pharma company to know that something cures cancer in humans and is safe in humans is to run a publicly documented trial. If the cure for cancer existed, other people have already explained why it can't. Its existence and efficacy would be part of the public record by the time they found out. And why kill anyone? Just don't make the product or patent it. So you can keep the chemical and process as a trade secret and sit on it until the end of time. The employees have probably signed NDAs. So they'd get sued to hell and back if they tried to sell it to someone else.
No.
That's a common conspiracy trope. It doesn't hold up if you have an understanding of medicine. First of all, cancer isn't one thing. So there won't be a cure for cancer. In a more perfect future there will be all cures for all cancers. To your point though, there is no end to medicine problems. Yes, the treatment may make more than the cure, but that patient now has a lifetime of future ailments to provide. More money is made by drug companies the longer we live. A handful of expensive treatments cannot overtake the millions of people on cheap, easy to manufacture, daily medication for 10 to 20 years. Let me explain why this is stupid. There isn't one guy developing a cure for cancer. There are hundreds of companies with tens of thousands of employees all working on cures and treatments for cancer. You have lab staff working on treatments. These things take decades to make and test in animals all the time. Hundreds of people work on these projects. When you have trials, you have dozens to hundreds or even thousands of patients. Doctors, nurses and support staff, pharmacists, techs, radiology, etc. Much less all the families involved and everyone they know. When a major breakthrough happens, you see it in the news. You hear about the therapies. If you read journals, you can read up on the trials. Millions of people all over the world work, follow or participate in some fashion. Do you really think they are all in on it? If you do, then you need to work on your critical thinking skills.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.